Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you've ever dreamed of isn't a distant fantasy, but a reality waiting for you to claim it. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for success to knock on their door, believing that fortune favors only the lucky, the privileged, or those who happen to stumble into opportunity. But here's a truth that Bivender Josti of the population will never understand. Success is not found in luck, timing, or chance. Success is found in thought, intention, and relentless alignment between your mind, your actions, and your purpose. The Paivansan who rise above the average, who bend circumstances in their favor, do so effortlessly, not because they are smarter or stronger, but because they understand the rules that govern achievement and life itself. And these rules are not taught in schools. They are not whispered in boardrooms. They are etched in the lives of history's greatest visionaries, in the DNA of those who refuse to accept mediocrity, and in the quiet determination that refuses to be shaken by fear, doubt, or the opinions of others. Blaine, to truly manifest success, you must first understand the invisible architecture that shapes every reality. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to the strength of your belief, the clarity of your vision, and the precision with which you act. Consider this contrast: a person who wakes up with vague hopes, unsure of their direction, drifting through life with uncertainty, versus a person who rises every morning with a crystalline picture of their goals, a detailed blueprint of the life they intend to create, and a relentless commitment to seeing it materialize. One lives in a state of passive hope, perpetually reacting to circumstances. The other lives as a creator, shaping the world through intention and action. This is the divide between the Bivender Josti and the Bivender San. Your mind is the first battlefield. What dominates your thoughts dominates your reality. Fear, doubt, procrastination, and the endless comparisons that plague ordinary minds are the chains that keep people tethered to mediocrity. Every time you tell yourself, I can't, I'm not ready, or it's impossible, you are reinforcing a programming that ensures the failure you fear. But the mind is not immutable. It is a tool, a vehicle through which your deepest intentions can be realized if it is trained, disciplined, and fed with the correct stimuli. Just as a sculptor molds raw stone into art, you must sculpt your thoughts into a form that reflects the life you desire. This begins with absolute clarity. What exactly do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years? The Bivender San do not live with ambiguity. They measure, they define, and they name their objectives with precision, leaving no room for the wandering hope that governs the lives of the many. Bend history is full of examples of minds that refuse to conform to ordinary expectations. Consider Nikola Tesla, a man who envisioned a world powered by wireless energy long before the concept seemed plausible. Imagine the ridicule he endured, the constant questioning, the doubts cast by peers and the world around him. Yet he persisted because his mind was not engaged in negotiating with fear. It was engaged in creating reality from vision. Or Walt Disney, who saw an entire kingdom in a swamp, who endured bankruptcy, rejection, and scorn, yet continued building in his mind what would become the most magical empire the world has ever known. These men did not wait for opportunity to appear. They created it. And they did so because their inner world, their mindset, was already inhabited by the success they intended to manifest. Contrast this with a majority who wait for approval, who chase trends, who hope for luck or validation from others. They live in a reactive state, allowing external circumstances to dictate their identity and outcomes. The Bivender San, however, live proactively. Their reality is an extension of their inner convictions. They speak in absolute terms. They do not say, I hope this works out. They say, this is mine. I will claim it, and I will move until it is. This difference is subtle to the casual observer, yet it is the defining line between mediocrity and mastery. It is not action alone that separates the successful from the unsuccessful. It is action rooted in identity, action that is consistent with the person they are becoming. You cannot manifest wealth if your subconscious still identifies with limitation. Your thoughts must be congruent with the reality you are building. Everything begins there, within the silent corridors of your mind, before it is ever reflected in the external world. Belief, clarity, and relentless focus are not abstract concepts. They are operational tools of the mind. Every affirmation, every visualization, every mental rehearsal is programming for the subconscious. Dr. Maxwell Maltz demonstrated this decades ago with his work on self-image. When a person changes the perception they hold of themselves, every dimension of their life, their relationships, their finances, their achievements, begins to transform. This is the mechanism through which the Bhaivanidsan manifests success. They are conscious architects of their own mental environment. They do not wait to be shaped by events. They shape themselves first, and the world follows. To join this rare echelon of achievers, you must ask yourself, what images dominate my mental screen? What narratives do I repeat daily, and do they serve the reality I wish to create? Memd, the Bevan and friends, understand the power of contrast. They see the consequences of complacency, mediocrity, and indecision. They do not ignore the pain of stagnation. They use it as fuel. The awareness of what it means to fail propels them forward. Compare the mind that tolerates average outcomes with the mind that refuses to settle. The former whispers excuses, "I'll start tomorrow," or "maybe this isn't for me." The latter roars commitment, "I am in motion now, and nothing can stop me." These contrasts are not theoretical. They are practical instruments for rewiring behavior and aligning action with destiny. Every successful person you admire internalized this contrast, felt its tension, and allowed it to drive a transformation that appeared effortless to outsiders. Yet clarity and belief alone are insufficient without action. The Bhaivanidsan executes with precision, not haphazardly. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb overnight. He failed thousands of times, yet he acted relentlessly, adjusting his methods while keeping his ultimate vision fixed. Persistence was not optional for him, it was a mandate. You cannot manifest success by wishing alone. You must move consistently, decisively, and intelligently. The universe responds not to passive longing, but to the energetic force of sustained, deliberate action. Action is the bridge between imagination and reality, and the Bhaivanidsan cross it daily, while the Bafanda Josti remains stranded on the shore, waiting for tides that never arrive. Ben Vidyasite is another secret often overlooked, but it is more than imagining a desired outcome. It is inhabiting the experience mentally with all senses activated until the subconscious accepts it as inevitable. Walk through your future reality in your mind. Shake hands with your future partners. See the confirmation of contracts, the deposit of funds, the results of your decisions. Live in that mental space with intensity and consistency. The Bhaivanidsan are constantly rehearsing success in their inner world long before it manifests externally. This practice rewires their neural pathways, strengthens confidence, and primes them to recognize and seize opportunities that the untrained mind would miss entirely. Mann contrasts this again with those who drift aimlessly, distracted by social validation, by fleeting pleasures, or by comparison to others. They do not practice mental rehearsal, they react to circumstance. They do not cultivate belief, they allow fear and self-doubt to dominate. They do not take relentless action, they wait for permission or ideal conditions. Their lives are a cycle of reactive patterns, and their potential remains dormant. The Bhaivanidsan break free from this pattern. They impose structure, ritual, and discipline upon their days. Early mornings, focused reading, strategic planning, reflection, and deliberate engagement with meaningful challenges become the non-negotiable framework of their lives. Every decision aligns with the vision they hold, reinforcing identity, belief, and the inevitability of success. Lend at the foundation of all of this is the principle that wealth, opportunity, and success are mirrors reflecting the state of your mind. If your inner world is confused, fearful, or disorganized, your outer reality will inevitably mirror that state. If your inner world is precise, confident, and aligned with your vision, the universe conforms. The Bifunded San live as if success is not distant but already present. They inhabit their future selves daily, making decisions, taking action, and embodying behaviors that match their goals. This mental alignment is not theoretical. It is the operative strategy of every high achiever across time and industry. Your thoughts, words, and actions must be consistent with the life you intend to manifest. Anything less is wasted energy. Now, consider the role of environment in shaping the mind of the Bifunded San. Most people underestimate this, assuming that talent or desire alone is sufficient. But the truth is, your environment, the people you surround yourself with, the media you consume, the routines you follow, either reinforces your growth or anchors you to mediocrity. Ordinary minds accept distraction, indulge in comfort, and allow the opinions of the uninformed to dictate their limits. The Bifunded San, however, carefully curate every element of their surroundings to serve their vision. They seek out mentors, read books that expand their horizons, participate in communities that challenge their thinking, and eliminate influences that foster doubt or passivity. Every element is a tool, a deliberate choice to reinforce the mindset required to manifest success. The contrast is striking. One group drifts, shaped by external noise. The other molds itself deliberately, channeling every input toward growth, clarity, and alignment. This selective approach extends beyond material influences. The Bifunded San master their internal dialogue. They monitor the narratives running in their minds and consciously replace scarcity with abundance, fear with courage, doubt with certainty. The internal monologue that most people tolerate unquestioningly, "I can't, I'm not ready, it's too hard," is systematically dismantled and rebuilt into a script of empowerment. Each affirmation, each repeated declaration is a brick in the foundation of the future reality they intend to construct. In contrast, the Bifunded Djosers T allow habitual negative thoughts to dominate, inadvertently programming themselves for struggle and limitation. They do not recognize that the mind is a mirror. It will reflect precisely what it believes, not what is desired. The Bifunded San exploit this principle consciously, rewriting their internal programming until belief becomes automatic, action becomes natural, and the material world conforms to their vision. Let us examine the psychology underpinning this process. The Bifundeds understand the interplay between identity and action. Actions that are inconsistent with one's self-image are rarely sustained. A person who sees themselves as ordinary cannot consistently act in extraordinary ways, no matter how much information they consume. Conversely, when identity is transformed, when the individual begins to see themselves as a creator of opportunities, a relentless achiever, a force of impact, actions naturally align with this self-concept. This is the core secret of effortless manifestation. It is not brute effort or external manipulation, but congruence between who you are internally and the reality you wish to command externally. Every historical example, Tesla, Disney, Carnegie, illustrates this principle in practice. Their minds had already accepted a reality that the outside world had yet to recognize. They became the identity required to bring that vision into existence. Manda, another defining characteristic of the Bifunded Sans, is their mastery of emotional resilience. Ordinary people are controlled by moods, by circumstances, by approval, and by fleeting emotions. They wait until they feel motivated or confident before acting. The Bifunded San, however, understand that motivation is unreliable and emotion is transitory. They act despite fear, doubt, or uncertainty, leveraging discipline and consistency to generate momentum. Thomas Edison did not wait for inspiration. He acted until inspiration arrived. Persistence is not merely endurance. It is the deliberate application of focused action in the face of adversity, repeated with unflinching regularity. This relentless execution Because action is the language through which the subconscious communicates with the physical world. Without it, even the most vivid imagination remains inert. Menderond contrasts this again with the Biped Joseph T. They procrastinate, rationalize, and surrender to circumstances. Opportunities are missed not because they do not exist, but because the individual has not conditioned themselves to recognize, seize, and follow through on them. Timing is irrelevant to the Biped San, because their preparation ensures they are always ready to act. Luck favors the prepared mind, and preparation is a deliberate, ongoing process. Each day, each task, each habit reinforces the blueprint of success. Reading, planning, visualizing, networking, and skill building are not optional. They are the architecture of a life that transcends mediocrity. The difference is stark. One life is reactive, fragmented, and dictated by external variables. The other is intentional, cohesive, and resilient, immune to random circumstances.